Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. I'm joined by two geniuses in the form of Micheál, Deasy and Declan Ricks. We're looking ahead to the Dublin Racing Festival and we're putting the Scilly and Scilly Isles as well. And Deasy, I'm praying that my Wi-Fi holds out. How do you price it up?
4 to 6 that you'll go, Tom. To be honest, we haven't had a good last half an hour. Poor old Sully is in the next room, sweating, going bald like me over this. But it's all right. We'll just crack on with it there now and get it done.
The great thing is the opinions we really want are the two of you, in particular Rixie as well. You've been in good nick, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Very, very good. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's a ridiculous weekend's racing. It shows, doesn't it, the Dublin Racing Festival, when you get a bit of quality. Hang on, let me get this right. Quality over quantity racing-wise, and you get proper horses taking each other on. All this talk of a 5-day festival. We've got 2 brilliant days this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be it's a huge weekend for national hunt racing. I know a lot of focus will turn to Cheltenham afterwards and in the aftermath of plenty of the races. But in its own right, it's a pretty big, it's a special weekend for Irish racing. So yeah, I'm flying out tonight to go on a jolly for a few days with the boys. So I'm looking forward to it.
Love it. Very jealous. Let's kick off with the 1250. It's novice hurdle. It's over 2 miles 6. Remember the novice hurdles, both this and the Chanel Pharma, they're slightly different trips to what they were about 3 or 4 years ago. Rixie, you kick us off with this contest. The strength for a grade 1, you're happy with that? You're happy with the quality lining up?
Yeah, I think so. I think you've got quite a few horses here that are kind of getting into the mid 140s bracket in late January, early February, with probably maybe a little bit more improvement to come. Kind of be a Cheltenham novice hurdle winner. You're probably looking at a minimum a 150 horse, maybe. The good ones tend to get up to 160. No kind of real star appeal. We've had Sam Crow as years on this card as a novice before. I don't think there's anything maybe like that in this race. But it's a good little race. A lot of horses that do right, representing the right connections. It's a good race.
Decent prices wise, what have you got for us?
2 seconds out, Tom. They're after disappearing off my screen here. I'll just get them up there again.
No worries.
These are obviously very early markets. So we have latest exhibition is there at 3.5. Elixir Dane is 4.4. Then you have Fury Road at 4.5. Longhouse Poet is 7.0. Then you have Cobbler's Way is 13.5. Home by the Lee is 14.0. And it's big prices in there too. And
what do you like, Deasy? Is there anything leaping out at you?
This is an alright. Fury Road was the one once I looked at this, I was like, he'd be the one for me now, especially over the 2 miles 6 trip. I think he has won every race at his ease this year. I think he'll stay all day. I think if he turn up in the Bartlett now, I'd be having a bet off him. I know he costs an absolute fortune. He's definitely one of these horses that whatever he does over hurdles is a bonus. But I think that he jumps well, stay all day. And the only worry I have with him is that maybe he mightn't. I think it's going to be goodish ground. Don't think there's been a lot of rain in Dublin. I was on to a buddy that lives near Leopardstown this morning, and he said they haven't had a bit of rain for the whole week, so it's going to be ground that'll be as soft as Leopardstown wanted. Most of his farm is on heavy, but I think that at about 4.5, he's an alright bet for this.
I think the pace is interesting here. There's a lot of horses. You get that this time of year that have gone forward in weaker races. I wonder if Elixir Dane had been ridden slightly differently here, perhaps a bit more patiently. I thought he had a good chance over this trip. I quite like him for it. I was hoping he'd be a little bit bigger than the 4.6, I think you said, but then look at his connections. I suppose that's wishful thinking, but he'd be my idea of a small bet at the odds you gave out, personally.
You broke up a bit there now, Tom, so can you just give us the name of the horse that you're after going with there?
Elixir Dane.
Okay.
Rixie, what about you?
I think this race is going to be very, very much dependent on pace. I think if they don't go at least a good even gallop here, I think the likes of Elixir Dane and Longhouse Poet could maybe struggle a little bit. Fury Road, went over 3 miles at Limerick, kind of heavy ground the last day as well. He looked, as Deasy said, he's a proper stayer in the making. And to me, I think tactically, whatever way the race sets up, it's going to suit latest exhibition. I think if they don't go quick here, he's going to have that pace that he's going to, that he showed behind Abracadabras early in the season, and when he beat Andy Dufresne, that pace I think could be key here. But then at the same time, if they do go quick up front, if Brian, he has been held up before a latest exhibition, I think the race could set up for him nicely that way as well. I'm not convinced he's as strong a stayer as the likes of Elixir Dane, Fury Road and Longhouse Poet, but I think he's probably marginally just a better horse, and he's got that little bit of class that I think could potentially see him through. I thought maybe 2-1 was probably more his kind of is more an accurate guide. I think I can see 11-4 there at the moment with one firm. That would probably be a bet for me at those prices. But as I said, this race I think is going to be very, very pace dependent.
Didn't you back him last time to beat Andy?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, just kind of the very amateur ratings I keep. He was actually £3 ahead of Andy Dufresne on what they did on their respective runs. They actually ran on the same, I think it was the same Nace card as each other. And I had latest exhibition £3 clear, and I think he was about a 9-2 shot, and Andy Dufresne was about 1-4. So just in terms of pure value, I had to back it. So yeah, one of the rare occasions where the ratings came up trumps.
Rixie's ratings, custom. Does anything interest you anti-post-wise, festival-wise for this? Personally, I'm more interested in the other novice hurdle on the Sunday, anti-post festival-wise. Anything for you, lads?
I like Longhouse Poet for the Albert Bartlett, but I'm just afraid because he's owned by Sean Mulrennan, who I think is the man behind the Ballymore. I hope just because he sponsors the Ballymore that he doesn't run in that race, because he shapes like a proper stayer. But I could see Longhouse Poet. I'm not sure I'd be backing him anti-post right now, but he's definitely one on my short list for the Albert Bartlett. Like he could run very well here and be beaten 5 or 6 lengths in third or fourth, and I think it'll be a respectable run depending on what the pace goes. But he, to my eye, looks like a horse who could really thrive when he gets up into a strong run 3-mile race at Cheltenham.
It looks as though he might be Ballymore bound given the connection you say. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Should we kick on Dublin Chase wise? The next contest, 125. Chacun Pour Soi is a rightful favourite for this race. Discuss, DC.
Yeah, we were talking about this before. Thomas, you're kind of setting me up nice here. I think Chacun Pour Soi is probably favourite because of his trainer and his owners. I think his reputation is built on one race at the end of last season where he was after beating horses that were over the top. I probably am completely wrong, and he could be the second coming. And they seem to talk about him like he's the second coming, but he's fairly well clear of Applutard at the top of this market. I'll just give it to you there now. So Chacun Pour Soi is 3.0, Applutard is 4.2, then you have Min is 4.4, Slace Emery is 5.8, and then all the rest of them are double figure prices.
It's a proper race, and I can't argue that Chacun Pour Soi is any value, but I can't see him getting beat. So go figure on that. And he's about 5.0 for the Champion Chase as well. Again, I can't argue that's value, but he's the one I'd want to side with it come Cheltenham. So I think he'll come on an absolute bundle for that first start. And I love him, but maybe that's because I was at Punchestown and caught up in it all when he beat Deafy de Searle. But I do love him, but I'm not saying I'd be steaming in at 3.0. Rixie?
Yeah, this is a good race. This is a proper race now. This is I'm not sure if I'll be having a bet just yet, but look, I don't think I think there's probably a case to say Min could be favoured here. He's the horse with the form in the book. Clearly goes well at Leopardstown, and you know he was a good winner of this race last year, beating Ordinary World. For all this year's renewal is going to be a much stronger heat. I just look, there is still the potential, that X factor with Chacham Horsai, but I'd have the same kind of line of thinking as Deasy. You know, I think people were getting a little bit too carried away with themselves because of what Teffy Desai has gone on to do. Look, the form is there in black and white, and it looks good, but we still need to see the horses on the track and doing it. Look, he ran perfectly well at Christmas. I don't think in the early stages of the race, you know, not that it was a negative, but he just looked to cover more ground out wide in the Plutar for, you know, the first 3 quarters of the race. And then as they turned in on the home bend, if I remember, Plutard was the one who had to come wide. But coming into the season, I thought that Plutard was going to be a proper 2.5 mile horse. And that Ordinary World being so close up in third this day at Leopardstown at Christmas, that it just puts a little worry in my mind. And because of that, I'd be kind of looking at maybe Silas Emery or Min. Robbie Power is going to ride Min, and Danny Mullins is going to renew his acquaintance with Silas Emery. I don't know. I think I'm going to sit on the fence, but I just think at the prices, I'd be looking at Silas Emery and Min. If I had to go for one, I'd probably just side with Min, just about, but it's marginal kind of at the prices. Well, no, it's not marginal, actually. I think Min there is a case to say that Min could potentially be favoured because he's got the form in the book. So, yeah, look, fuck it, Min for me. We got there eventually.
I'm just going to write that down there now. Fuck it, Min. Okay.
If Rich Ritchie could name his full brother that, if he got his hands on him, that'd be good. Yeah.
Superb. Dees?
Oh, like I'm the same as Rixie. Like I cannot split up Silas Emery, Min, and Plutar because they all have positives. I kind of just came down on that Plutar because I said that I just thought there was no reason that he won't also improve for the run of Christmas. I thought he was very impressive. And just at the prices, although Min has come in, he's been backed in since yesterday. Min was a big price yesterday, and I couldn't figure out why. I was wondering, is it because he's come down in trip or because Robbie Power was on him? But he's disputing second favouritism with Plutard now, so that is interesting. But I'm going to stick with Plutard because I just thought he was a worthy winner at Christmas, and I thought it was a good race, and I don't see any reason why he should be the price he is at the moment. So just as a value bet, I was going to go with him.
I agree with you on Min, lads. I think he's possibly a half a stone better horse over further, but equally on what he's achieved, I still think he's a little bit big. For all I think, I feel like Shacken will win, but I just can't have him at those prices. I can't argue that's a good value bet. And I'm sure lots of people will back him and get after the favourite, and he may well win, and there you go. But I just couldn't advise anyone to at that sort of price. So there we go. Proper race. The 2 o'clock, the Arkle Novices Chase. I'm happy enough with my antipose position on Fakir Duderi for the Arkle at the festival. At the price, I'm going off him more and more, which is never what you want. I can't argue that at level weights come festival time, he should be the current antipose price he is. And I'm probably going to back cash back here at the price. It's 7.5 when I last checked these. I thought that was very fair for cash back. I thought he jumped really slickly last time. I think he's 8 now, but he was very quick away from his fences. And I think he's a proper chaser. So I know he didn't hold grade 1 form as a novice hurdler, but a lot of Arkle horses, sometimes they're just progressive as hurdlers, novice hurdlers, and they can become very good chasers. I thought he fits that bill. He's 13.0 for the Arkle as well, and I'm half tempted to take that as well. So again, value-wise, I thought cashback was a very fair price. Dees, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it was cashback for me as well, Tom. I was kind of I'm happy enough to take on the top 2 because I think that this is probably the best race both of them will have encountered this year. And while I think Notebook was a worthy favourite over Fakir, and the same as you know, we got that info off Sam at the start of the season, and we use it to get a nice price in Fakir. But he disappointed at Christmas. Notebook is quite short. Then you have, I'll just give out the prices. So Notebook is 2.88. Fakir Dudery is 3.6. Melon is 7.4. Cashback is 7.6. Bapome is 8.2. And you have Galanjandra at 25s, and same as Roy Rendezvous. So I was looking at the two I was kind of coming down on was Bapome and Cashback. I thought the two of them were very, very impressive in their jumping the last day, but I just think Bapome will need further. Even though Footpad did this, Footpad was a 3-mile hurdler and came back and won 2-mile chases, but I just really liked the way Cashback won his 2 races. I think he beat a nice horse in 0-10, and in both races he was kind of joined coming into the home stretch, and he just pricked his ears and just jumped and galloped them into death. Then I thought he was quite impressive the way he did it, so I'm going to stick with him. The same at you, 7.6. Nice bet.
Rixie?
Yeah, look, this is another good race. I think Notebook has earned the right to be as short as he is, 7-4 favourite. His performance at Christmas was good. I was actually a little bit concerned about him because he was. I think that was the first time he was running left-handed. I think his earlier chase starts to come on right-handed tracks, and even on right-handed tracks, he jumped right. He did jump right again at a few fences at Leopardstown, and that is the only look. You're at these kind of prices, you're always looking for a potential negative or a kink that you can get after, but that would be the only kink I think in this horse's in his armour. Fundamentally, he's a brilliant jumper. He's got a lovely way of going. Rachel Blackmore gets on very well with him, and I think he's a lovely mover as well. I think the decent ground that's going to probably be on offer again at Leopardstown is going to suit him. The way I'm going to be playing the race, I think I'm going to take him out of the equation, to be honest, and I'll probably have a bet without him. Fakir Dudery would probably be too short in that market. I like him. Look, he does so much right. I do think people are getting a little bit carried away because he's such a good jumper. He is a good jumper, but I'm just not sure he has the ability, the raw ability that the market suggests he has. And even I think, to be honest, he's probably more of a marsh horse to my eye. I don't think he's got the closing kick in these races. I was a little bit disappointed with the tactics at Leopardstown they used on him. I thought they were too negative. For all they did go a good gallop, I thought Mark Walsh should have been up there. He was dropping back down in trip. He should have been up there forcing the tactics, using his jumping. If Fakir Dudery he's the type of horse, if he hasn't got the field in trouble kind of going to 2 out, he's probably gonna be very vulnerable to a horse who has a little change of gear. And I think I'm hoping that could be Cashback this time round. Melon to me is a horse, while he jumps well and it looks like he's enjoying life over fences, just he looks a stone worse horse than the horse that finished runner-up in a champion hurdle. I don't know what's wrong with him. He had a terrible season last year. So I'm just hoping it's going to be like an up-and-coming horse in Cashback. I think Cashback without Notebook is probably going to be the bet I'm going to play here.
Danger. We agree.
Yeah, but I'm being a bit of a chicken and taking without market. So yeah, we'll see.
I just want to add, if you can still hear me, I do think Fakir is an Arkle horse if he's allowed to bowl along. I just sort of to readjust where we are ratings wise with him. He's probably just not as good as I thought he was. He was beaten on merit by Notebook, but I'd love to see him bowling along out in front in an Arkle. But I just think it's worth pointing out he was the right side of the weights early season, and he's been jumping fences since he was a 3-year-old, so he wasn't lacking experience. So I've just had to adjust how good I think he is. Anything else on the Arkle, lads?
All good for me.
All good for me, mate.
Let's move on to the last Grade 1 of the day on Saturday in Ireland. That is the Champion Hurdle. I'll kick us off with Honeysuckle at the top of the market, going this way round for the first time, back in trip on decent ground. She's a take-on job.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just at the prices. There's look, she's clearly a high-class mare, but this now, for all look, it's not a great kind of Irish Champion Hurdle. It's still going to be the toughest race that she's running. She's got plenty of form on kind of proper Irish soft winter ground. The ground at Leopardstown, as we know, is going to be a lot quicker. As you've already mentioned, she's coming down in trip. You've got to throw in the running left-handed over hurdles, I think, as well. Even though she doesn't show any signs that she jumps to her right or anything. But yeah, I just think at the prices, she's probably one to take on. And to be honest, in my book, I'd probably have Sharjah just marginal favourite in the race.
Yeah, I think she's going to be one of the most overbet horses of the day, because there are a lot of honeysuckle fanboys that have her backed for Antipost or the mares in Cheltenham and the champion hurdle and all that kind of stuff. But this is the best race that she has been in by far. And I'll just give out the prices there. So honeysuckle is 2.5, Sharjah is 3.4, Classical Dream is 6.0, and then you have Petit Mouchoir, Super Sunday, Darver Star all in there about 25, 28.0. Micheál Lecoq is 32.0, and Araman is 48.0, and the other ones are massive prices.
Just to reel off Cheltenham prices: 7.5 honeysuckle champion hurdle, 3.25 mares. Thoughts?
Oh, she's mares all day for me. I'm not sure. Do you know what it is? I was in the exact same position this time last year with Lorena. I think she's got a very similar profile to Lorena. I just think she's a 2.5, 3 mile mare on proper soft ground. And when you get to the old course at Cheltenham on spring ground, sharper track, it all just adds up, going up in grade, everything. I kind of just made in my notes. I was like, is this Lorena Mark II this season? So even like I'm surprised they didn't give her the option in the Stayers hurdle. But look, I think if she was mine, and what we've seen on the current evidence, I'd be going to the mares with her. But that could all change if she blows away this field on Saturday. But look, there's probably whatever rating you've got to her, there's still got to be a big P beside it, that there's more to come. But whether it's going to come over on faster ground, down in trip, up in class, remains to be seen.
I will the Sharjah. I don't know what any of you else think. I'd probably want to know the ground isn't out and out soft. Look at those early times, but I think he's a fair horse on decent ground, so I'd happily have a few quid after him. Any other bets in the race?
And just looking at, I suppose, looking at the bigger priced ones, like if this is going to come up with good ground, I think Araman could be an absolutely gigantic price to nick a place. Like he's 48.0 here in the win market. Now we've no without market at the moment, but let's say if you took out Honeysuckle or Sharjah at the top of it, there's no reason Araman couldn't run into third or fourth with them. If you're getting a double figure price for him to place without them, I think that could be a bet. And even though Super Sunday is there at 25.0, he always runs well in this race, but he generally needs a run, so that would be a big negative against him. But if you're going to do an each way or a place bet, I think there's probably a bit of value there.
Super Sunday's course form is rocking. 2-2-1-2 his last 4 runs. I think he'll need the run though. That's my niggle. But in the place market, he could be interesting. Rick, see anything to add?
No, I think Super Sunday, just given the type of horse he is, he'll probably look as big as myself in the paddock, so I'd be staying well clear of him. I suppose we should probably give Classical Dream a mention, lads. He was an absolutely brilliant winner of the Supreme last year. Fair enough, it maybe wasn't the greatest Supreme in terms of strength and depth, but he didn't have bolt up. He started the season off nicely at Punchestown. He was beaten, but I thought he ran well. Last time out at Leopardstown at Christmas was a disaster. He made a terrible, terrible mistake on the backside. If he's a big price, if he came back to his Supreme form, him and Petit Mouchoir will probably go on and take each other on here, and there's going to be a good gallop, and that probably sets up nicely for Sharjah as well. So for me, at the prices, it would be Sharjah.
That is the Irish champion. We've also got a grade 1 on the Saturday at Sandown. We'll come to that at the very end of this. We should move on to the Sunday. Don't know if you can hear that Hoover in the background, but the cleaners are in here now. It's going very well. The Sunday is the Chanel Pharma Novices Hurdle. My God, the recent winners of this race is ridiculous. Go on, kick us off with the prices first of all, if you can, Dees.
We have no prices, Tom. this market is only the entry is only with an hour, so we have no market formed yet.
That went well. Pleased with that.
Yeah. Just opening early prices for other people. Like you have Easy Work and Easy Work is favourite. Mount Leinster will be second favourite. Then you have Asterion Forlange and Blue Sari are the two. They're both going to be about 6, 7.0. But Easy Work they're about 3.5. Mount Leinster will be 2.5. Mount Leinster is going to be about 3.0 ish.
Previous winners of this race have gone on to win Supremes and Ballymores. If you look at the anti-post prices of those at the top of this market, you're looking at double figures for the festival. Does this mean there's value, or does this mean it's not a strong renewal, Rixie? Are we lacking a standout star in this?
Yeah, definitely lacking a star. Yeah, there's obviously, we're still dealing with very young horses that could progress into decent animals, but there's certainly no star in here. All potential here, but yeah, it's a little bit tricky without the prices. I was impressed with Mount Leinster, and if you remember talk back last year, all the chat out of the Mullins stable was Mount Leinster. I think Mount Leinster actually looked over Close Sutton where Willie trains. And I think they've reserved this name for a little while. Could be wrong on that.
No.
If I am, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story or whatever, I think they've reserved this name for a decent horse. And last year, you can see that he's probably a good workhorse at home because he's pretty fiery. He takes a hold. I just think he needed the experience. He needed to kind of calm down. He didn't look like a bumper horse. He just looked like a horse that, once he went hurdling, he could do a lot better. I think now it's taken a little bit of time, but I think that potential that the Mullins team saw in him earlier is maybe now going to start coming to the boil. I was impressed with him at Leopardstown. With a lot of the crappy angles, the camera angles at Leopardstown, I'm still not convinced about his jumping. I need to have a proper look at his jumping. I still think there's room to work on, but he's got an engine. The way he hit the line when he won here over Christmas really, really impressed me. And I know Easy Work did beat him when they met at Goran, but I would fancy him now with the Willie Mullins juggernaut getting going. I would fancy him to turn that form around.
And Dease, what do you reckon?
I would be completely in agreement with Rixie about Mount Leinster. The story you said about them reserving the name, they said that after he won his bumper, he won it in Bellewstown or somewhere like that, and he won by, I don't know, 30 or 40 lengths, something like that. But Patrick Mullins came out and said that we've kept this name for a special horse. And the last day was, I think it was his first win. He looked very good. This is a tough race. And I was looking at Blue Sari. Now I know Blue Sari was priced up. I think it was about 7.0 yesterday, and I thought that might be a bit of value. Although he ran an absolute stinker there at Christmas, but I thought his win the first day he ran a 22 runner, one of those 22 runner maiden hurdle there in Punchestown in November, and he won pulling a train. He was very, very free. That was over 2 mile forward. They said they go back down to 2 miles and straight after that because he just had too much pace for that distance. Ran crap at Christmas, but I think that he looked very good. He was a very good bumper horse last year. I think that he's probably priced up based on that run at Christmas, which I thought was a bit too much. If he's going to be there about 6 or 7.0, I'd probably have a bet off him.
I don't know what's going on with Blue Sari. He's not the horse I think we thought he was. If you think he's value, I get that. I'd love to see him held up off a strong pace in a 2 mile handicap, but there again, he might be rated a bit beyond that.
Yeah, that could be what they'd be going for as well. You would know what with the green and gold.
I'm not sure where we are with him. I wanted to mention Asterion Forlange. Just as this time of year, I quite like to have anti-post bets based upon profiles, and I quite like his Ballymore profile. Very lightly raced by the time he gets there, if he goes there. A horse he's a lot of speed for the trip, and I like that again for a Ballymore. A lot of horses come back in trip and have won champion hurdles or running them. And I just like his profile for it. I know that sort of might seem silly, but I did a lot of work last year for a Cheltenham book on novice hurdlers and different profiles suiting different races. And I quite like his profile for that contest, Worry to Head Day. He's 15.0 currently, and I've had a little nibble. But I'm not saying get stuck into him tomorrow. But I don't know. I quite like him as a horse for a Ballymore if that's where he ends up. Anything to add on this, lads?
No, he was good. I thought Asterian at the last day. I think he ran on the same card as Envoy Allen, and his sectionals and his time weren't too bad now with what Envoy Allen did. I'm not saying he's anywhere near good as Envoy Allen. He's probably on that day. I think I made him maybe about 10 or 11 pound kind of worse horse. But that was his first start over hurdles. He jumped well, and the Donnellys. They're obviously buying a good horse with Willie Mullins there. They know what they're doing. I don't know who's sourcing all these horses for them, but they've obviously had great success with Alboom Photo, and they seem to be getting a good couple of decent models. They've obviously got Shishkin as well with Nicky Henderson. So, he deserves a positive mention. The only thing I would say about him is he jumped out right quite a few times the last day at Naas, and you probably won't be able to afford to do that here. But we'll see. It's another good race. Kind of without that, it'll be interesting to see who Townend rides there. Sorry, I didn't get a chance to look at the full decks with the jockeys up before we came in. We're a bit flat out here, but it'll be interesting to see who Townend rides in that race.
Do you know, Dees?
Me 2 seconds there. I just closed down that page, but I'll get it back up here now.
This is so smooth today.
On the button.
Nothing like your silky broadcast out in Dubai.
No, they haven't got the jockey bookings out yet.
Okay, Willie takes now leaf out of Aiden's book there, doesn't he? He likes to take his time, keep it guessing.
Yeah, they're the only 2 horses in the race that aren't jocked up as well, Mount Leinster and SDR and Forlange. So,
Willie taking the piss.
Just wait till later today. Yeah, we'll end.
I just wanted to add on Asterian. He needs to jump better all in, and he looked lazy last time late on as well. But it's just more. I almost like the inexperienced part of it for the Ballymore, as opposed to say Supreme. Horrid, wouldn't go anywhere near him, but I quite like him for that. And this is the time Willie comes good. This is it. Right, the 3 o'clock, the Flogas Novices Chase. Oh, this is a good one. Go on, Rixie, kick us off.
And look, another great one, another great race. Faheen and the Machine is back. Proved all the doubters wrong, including me at Christmas when he won his grade 1, which was absolutely brilliant to see. Potentially, I think we're maybe getting a little bit carried away with that performance. I'll start with the positives first. His jumping wasn't bad on debut, Punchestown. I think he made one bad mistake where Paul Townend made a brilliant recovery, and he made one bad peck, I think, at 3 or 4 out. His jumping was much better here, and look, he's well able to jump. Kind of, you look at this horse now, and he won a champion hurdle. Kind of, if he stayed right, and could have gone over fences with him, like who bloody knows what he could have won. I think he's flattered by the bare margin of beating Sam Crow. I was disappointed with Jack Kennedy's ride on Sam Crow at Limerick. It wasn't a bad ride, but Limerick heavy ground is heavy. I was in college in Limerick for 5 years, and it is the wettest place on earth. I'm delighted to be out of there for all. I had so much fun down there. Jack, leaving the home turn there at Limerick, put it up to Faheen, like he was on a stamina horse, and I just thought it was silly. Sam Crow then, he finished very, very tamely on heavy ground. I don't think that's any surprise. And then I think, I'm not sure if I got this was confirmed, but I think there was chat, there was maybe a breathing issue, or he bled, one or the other. So in black and white, while it was a brilliant performance and it was great to see Faheen back, I'm not sure that performance is as good as the market suggests. And in Battle Over Dying and Easy Game and even Tornado Flyer kind of going up to is probably a trip that'll suit him more. I think he's got three formidable horses there to take him on.
Prices, Dees. Have you got anything early doors?
No,
not
at the moment. No.
Faheen
was favoured, a slight favourite ahead of Battle Over Dying, and then it was Easy Game, and the rest of them are double figure prices.
I can't have Faugheen Fav as much as I love him. I just can't. I think Battle Over Doyen's a proper horse. I think he's a proper RSA horse. I kind of loved what he did last time, even in that small field. I know he edged left after the last. I think maybe he was feeling the ground a bit, but the only niggle if it was good ground. I love him as a horse, though. I honestly, and I wouldn't worry about last year at Cheltenham. I mean, I never really loved him for that, but I do like him for a 3-mile chase at Cheltenham and an RSA, and I like him for this as well. He'd be my favourite. If he's not favourite, I'll definitely jump on that bandwagon. Dees, what do you think?
I agree with everything you said about Faugheen. Like everyone has beaten Sam Crow at this stage into instead second place in the Grade 1 chase. But again, it was fantastic. We actually sponsored that race. We were delighted with it. Then we got great kind of coverage out of it. It was a great old story. Faugheen is either going to completely bolt up here or come nowhere, I'd say. I Battle Over Doyen. I actually don't like him at all. I think he's a big old slow boat of a horse, and the RSA might be his thing, all right. But this is over 2 mile 5, so I'm going to give it 10 to this. I'm not going to have a huge bet in this at all, but I go with Easy Game. I think that I liked Easy Game last year as a hurdler, and I liked him the last day when he won Chase. I think that 2 mile 5, this is kind of the perfect trip for him, and he's going to be about 5 or 6 point low, I'd say. So I'll be having a small bet on him, just on the off chance that one of the front two blow up.
Yeah, the form looks good, doesn't it? Of that run last time, given what the second come out and done. Take the point about Battle over this trip, potentially on the ground. I do like him for an RSA. I'm certainly not with Manila Indo or Champ, so I could easily back this lad in an RSA, depending what he does. Anything to add for the Flogas lads? Any others in there at a bigger price or potentially bigger prices?
Well, I suppose probably should give Tornado Flyer just a quick mention. I think he's been doing well this season, considering he's been competing over a trip that's probably been too sharp for him. He comes here on the back of a pulled up effort. I think he just hates the trip down to Naas. Every time he goes down to Naas, he seems to have a problem. Although I think the problem he had the last day wasn't as serious as the one that he had on the first day. I think they just went too quick for him. Couldn't keep tabs on cashback and those kind of strong travelling, fast galloping, good jumpers, and he just didn't click. Going up in trip again, we could see a better performance. But yeah, no, if it was heavy ground, I'd have more respect for Faugheen, and I could see him at the price. Just whether he has the same gears as a 12-year-old remains to be seen. If it was heavy ground, I'd probably back Faugheen, but I think it's going to be maybe yielding kind of ground, and whether he still has those gears remains to be seen. But actually, do you know what could be the shrewd bet here is? I obviously do respect Faugheen. He's a proper horse. Is instead of backing Faugheen at maybe 6-4, you might get 6-4 Battle Over Doyen without Faugheen, something like that. I'd fancy Battle Over Doyen has the measure of the rest of those horses.
No, I'd say there's not much difference in price between the two of them. I'd say Battle Over Doyen without Faugheen could be odds on. Okay.
Well, yeah, you've always got to look for the value. I'm hoping maybe even at even money, kind of 6-5, you might be happy to back him in that kind of market. But yeah, just an option worth exploring.
And quickly, any anti-post festival possibilities in here? Faugheen, Battle Over Doyen, Easy Game, anything catching your eye?
Not for me, anyway.
No, fine. The Irish Gold Cup is the 3:30. It was a small field last year, but it provided a really good race. I suppose the most interesting thing about this is you've got the Savills winner in there, and then you've got two horses who may well improve for their runs, particularly Kenboy, I suppose you'd say. I should lead off by saying that I backed Delta Work for the Gold Cup off the back of his run last time, just because I thought that was the best bit of form we've seen so far at the time, and he was 11.0, and I thought that was offensive, really, based upon what he showed at the festival last year. It was purely a value selection at the time. But, I mean, I can see Kenboy improving past him here, potentially, but I'm still happy enough with that position. Kenboy, a likely fav? Is that what we're expecting?
No, Delta Work is a slight fav. He's 2.9. You've Kemboy at 3.2. Then you are sorry at 4.2. Then you have Presenting Percy is 4.5. Chris's Dream is 7.0. Bell's Hill is 18.0. The Bagora is 25.0.
Rixie, what do you fancy?
It's a good little race. Well, like the key form is obviously the Savile Chase of Christmas with that Kemboy Delta Work and Presenting Percy ran in. I thought that was a little bit of a strange race that day. Rachel Blackmore gave Monally an absolutely sensational ride. Dictated matters kind of on the first kind of circuit. She kind of wouldn't say she crawled around, but she certainly didn't go quick. That like as quick as you'd expect for a grade 1. And then just on the final circuit there, she took about 3 or 4 lengths out of the field, kind of just going into the back straight. And she really caught a few of these on the hop. Tactically she was in the best position without a doubt. Kemboy was in the second best position. And Presenting Percy and Delta Work in terms of tactics and how the race panned out, they were in dreadful positions. I think Delta Work deserves his run deserves a pretty big upgrade now, because he was 3 and 4 wide the whole way, and he was nearly last under Jack Kennedy. And pick up from where he did, coming wide the whole way, I thought was a pretty impressive performance. What really caught my eye that day was actually Gordon Elliott's post-race comments. He said it sounded like they'd had a little bit of trouble with him on the run up to the race, and Gordon was like saying, whatever he's done today, he's actually going to improve. So that makes for interesting reading, to be honest. I'm not sure about Kemboy yet. I don't know about you boys. I think he's got an overinflated rating based on beating horses that came out of the Gold Cup when he was fresh at Aintree and Punchestown. I think the BHA handicapper's got a bit of a horn on there again, and I'm just not sure. I don't think he should be that short in the betting. He's got that buzzy kind of nature about him. His jumping doesn't convince sometimes. He jumped out to his right at Leopardstown. But it all depends on the gallop. He's one of these typically Irish horses that in a slow run race where he can dominate, he's always going to look very good because he's got gears. But if you put him into a Gold Cup scenario where they go flat out, I think he's the type of horse that could crumble under pressure. So I think the pace is going to be crucial. In terms of a bet, I'm not sure. I think at the prices Presenting Percy is going to be the bet. I think Davy Russell is going to be much more closer to the pace this time round. And just in terms of pure value, I'd say Presenting Percy is the bet at those prices.
Rixie, agree? Agree?
Say that again, Tom. You broke up there a small bit.
Agree or disagree with Rixie yourself, DC?
I would agree wholeheartedly. I'm not a fan.
Fuck off, DC, will you, boy? Do your own work, will you? Jesus Christ.
That is easier to agree with you than disagree with you, Rixie.
In your life.
I can see Delta Work winning this. I think Kemboy is he is overinflated. I'm always kind of wary of end of season form where horses that skip Cheltenham and they never had no entry in that. They beat horses at Aintree then in Punchestown, because again those horses are over the top generally, especially ones that run at Cheltenham. And like his Savage Chase win, he did it exactly where Rixie said. Like he just stole it from the front. I think Delta Work is probably the best horse in the race. Presenting Percy is on a retrieval mission. I would would agree with him on just on the price Presenting Percy, but he's gone. I'd say there'll be a bit of money from him. His owner did a few interviews during the week, and he kind of said this is what they should be going for, and like they skipped the Galmoy, they're gone here. That's probably a tip in itself. So probably stick with Presenting Percy just as a value bet at about 4.5, 5.0 maybe.
Just to add to that, I'm not a Percy fan. I think that's based upon the Gold Cup where I stood in the paddock and I basically emptied my Matchbook account on him. I don't even know why I did it. I think I was
everyone got caught up in the buzz of that. I remember I was watching it in a pub in Cork City, and the place just emptied about, I'd say, about 3/4 of the way through the race because he wasn't winning and everyone had the house on him. Like, so it was between
I was also on that boat with you boys.
I went on Racing Blogger and just went, "This wins, lads." I don't know.
The Racing Blogger wouldn't have backed him. He was 3-1 for the Gold Cup. He might be 4-7 for the Blogger to be backing him.
Other bloggers are available. I'd have Kenboy over Delta Work in a match bet here, and I think Delta Work will beat him in a Gold Cup. I think Delta Work is lovely for a Gold Cup, but I think Kenboy will improve for that. And here, if they were even money each or two, I'd side with Kenboy here. But I don't, for the reasons you suggested. I don't love him for a Gold Cup. I mean, didn't make it past the first last year. So yeah, I mean, I'm very much. Go on.
I was thinking about Kenboy as well. Yeah, there's been a lot of kind of chat, kind of, racing journalists and whatnot saying, and even kind of from the Mullins camp themselves, that they expect all these horses that are having their first runs of the season to improve significantly. Like he will need to do. But if you remember before all that bloody shitstorm with Supreme Racing Club, wasn't he ready to go to Down Royal at the start of the season?
Yeah.
I think they planned on running him. So you wonder, how was he fit enough that day at Leopardstown? And I'm sure he is a better horse than that, so maybe he did need it. So, but I'd maybe be a little bit wary of expecting stone's worth of improvement here because the other Mullins horses are doing it, because his profile is a little bit different, because he was ready to run earlier and obviously he couldn't until that situation was sorted. But it looks to me like that's been factored potentially in price. I'm not sure. I think Delta Work would probably just marginally be favoured over him.
Fair enough. That's it, island-wise. Anything to add island-wise, guys?
No, just as long as they have the old hot whiskies like they've had there the last few years, we'll be good.
I'm sure they will. Scilly Isles we'll finish up with at Sandown. It's a Grade 1. Was a good renewal last year with Lost in Translation and Deafy to Searle. I'm a little bit cold. Dees, do you have any prices? What price is Good Boy Bobby?
2 seconds now, Tom. My computer is freezing here as well now, unfortunately. I don't think we have prices for this yet. Again, these markets are just forming. Hold on a while now. I have it up here now.
Tell you what, this whole operation needs a bit of WD-40 today, doesn't it? Christ.
Yeah, we have very, very early prices here. So Lorena is 2.33 or 2.34, sorry. Good Boy Bobby is 2.38. Then you have Itchy Feet is 4.0. Midnight Shadow is 6.6. Grand Sancy is 7.0. And then you have Vision de Flow and Champagne Platinum are big prices.
That was me holding up the word slick.
Oh, I thought it said dick. Jesus. Need my glasses. I was like, that's very harsh while DC's talking.
Go on, Dees, lead us off. What do you like?
Good Boy Bobby. I think Mr. Fisher gave his farm against behind him the last day a good old boost last weekend. I'll be back in Mr. Fisher for whatever he runs in at Cheltenham, and I think Good Boy Bobby. I couldn't be back in Lorena, even though she's gone over here. I just think that she may be kind of I don't know. I just couldn't be back because she was so bad the last day. Itchy Feet is another interesting horse, but if he was a bit of a bigger price. But I think Good Boy Bobby is probably the best horse in the race, and I'll keep it simple and go with him.
I'll jump on. I'll do a DC and agree with you. I think he's probably the value in the race. I get Lorenas. That's filth. I just yuck for all the triple suit. Yes, but no, not for me. Good Boy Bobby. He gave £5 to Mr. Fisher last time. Yeah. That form looks very good. Mr. Fisher, incidentally, I think Nicky Henderson is very warm on the marsh for that. Yeah, I think Itchy Feet lacks experience is the only thing. I don't think he learned a huge amount for that win last time. Thought he was pretty good. Good boy, Bobby. He's hardened. I like the trip for him. And I think for now, for this race, it could just be the time to catch him. So I absolutely agree with you on that one. Rixie, anything to add?
Well, I'm going to steal DC and your work now because I totally agree. Yeah, it's I was really impressed with what him and Mr. Fisher did at Cheltenham. I was just looking at the official handicappers got him rated on 146. This is a rare occasion where I've got one comfortably above the handicapper. I've actually got him running to 152 that day. I think he's a good horse, this Good Boy Bobby. His jumping, it can be very good. It can be a little bit messy at times, but the ability is there. He's got a hell of an engine, this horse. He is the bet. I think. Look, I respect Lorena. I really do. I'll have to see how softer the ground is for her, the better. But to me, she's just always looked like a mare who wants to go a trip like 2.5 miles at this level is her minimum. I think it really is. She loves heavy ground. I think trying to give her £7 in a beating is going to be tough. It is, but at the market, I think is got it wrong. I think he's probably the value bet of the weekend for me, Good Boy Bobby. And I think in terms of the super nap of the weekend, I'd be looking at Good Boy Bobby without Lorena. I'd be happy to back that as well. I think the handicapper got him wrong. I think he's a much better horse than the handicapper thinks he is, and I think he's a much better horse than the market thinks he is. So if it all goes tits up in Ireland, we can come back to the L Britain and hopefully save a few quid.
No, I've learned shits up. It's going to be a disaster. So there we go. With super naps in mind, let's do best bets. Who's going to kick off with Good Boy Bobby? Go on, Rixie. All yours.
Oh no! Well, look, I leave DC go first.
Jeez, I'm going to go first either. I'm going to go for Sharjah in the champion hurdle. And Good Boy Bobby in the no, just Sharjah.
I will if Honeysuckle gets to 2.25 or below, Leia as a best bet of the weekend for me. But I do want to mention Good Boy Bobby as we all have, and as an anti-post bet, Asterion Ferrange I think is well worth a nibble, just in case he bolts up in a Ballymore. So, but the main one is the lay of Honeysuckle. Rixie.
Could I put up an hour Rixie Trixie here for the weekend?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah.
So we'll chuck in. It's going to be a bit of a miserable one now, but I would go with latest exhibition. Good Boy Bobby without Lorena, but I'll also be backing him on his own in the straight market, and Sharjah. And then if you want the Yankee, you can throw in. Who's the other one I liked? No, we'll stick with the Trixie.
Cash back without.
Yeah.
Oh, that was it. Yes.
Yeah.
There you go. The most miserable Yankee known to man, but if it comes in, we'll be all right.
We just put up an asterisk there, and I was saying that you can't actually do Trixies and Yankees on Matchbook. Yes. Yes. Watch this space.
Ah, shit. Sully's gonna give me some kick in the arse. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
But for all your exchange,
you mentioned other forms there a while ago as well, and we didn't call you out in that. Like, there are no other forms.
I'm just a pig. I apologize.
You're grandpa.
And we didn't even mention Fuck It Min. Love it.
Fuck It Min.
Yeah, yes, the full brother.
Yeah.
We made it.
We did. Well, you made it.
Well done, Tom. That's why you should never back odds-on shots, lads.
Yeah.
DC's down a score already for the weekend.
Yeah, so he's banging on the wall here now, telling me, Tom, just call out there now.
That's it. First loser of the weekend done, Dees. Well done. And we made it. That is our Dublin Racing Festival preview and also look at the Scilly Isles. Rixie, thank you.
Cheers, lads. Thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
Deasy, well done, mate. And we will chat to you all again very soon. Watch this space for the next pod. Have a good Dublin Racing Festival. Bye-bye.